Hi everyone. Today we will learn to master chess notations or coordinates. Many of us find difficulty in learning chess notations. Here I will explain simple method to master chess notation or coordinates. I will start from very basics, and if you know the basics you can skip the basics portion. Let's start. Here the first entire column is a file. This first entire column is a file. It is written here a. Similarly, the second column is b file. Third column is c file. Fourth column is d file. Fifth column is e file. Sixth column is f file. Seventh column is G file and eighth column is H file. There are 8 columns, each is having name. Try to recall the file name. First one is A file, second one is B file, third is C file, fourth is D file, fifth is E file, sixth is F file, seventh is G file, eighth is H file. Similarly, rows are named as rank. Here the first row is first rank, second row is second rank, third row is third rank, and fourth row is fourth rank, fifth row fifth rank, sixth row sixth rank, seventh row seventh rank, eighth row eighth rank. We have 8 rows as well as 8 files, 8 ranks and 8 files. So we have the 64 squares, 8 into 8, 64 squares. Each square is having notation or coordinates. What is the notation? We will find out. Suppose I consider the bottom left corner square, this square. We know that it is in A file, and its rank is in 1. Its rank is 1, first rank. So its notation is A1. First we write the file name and second we write the rank. Here file name is A, its rank is 1, therefore the notation is A1. Similarly, this square is B1 because it is in the B file and rank is 1, B1. And the next square is C1, it is in C file, first rank. In the same procedure you can find out the remaining squares, notation of the remaining squares. For example, this one is D1, this square E1, right? In the same manner you can find out the notations of all the squares. Suppose I considered this square, it is in A file and its rank is in 2, so the notation of this square is A2. I randomly choose another square here. Let's find out the notation of this square. We know that it is in the F file and its rank is 6, so the notation of this square is F6. Let's choose another square. Here we know that this is in the C file, its rank is 4, so the notation of this square is C4. I hope you understood the method for finding notations or coordinates. If you write all the notation in the squares, it will be like this. It the squares A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, F1. So far I have talked very basics. Next we will move on to the methods to master this notation. Why to master the notation? Because it will help to visualize the moves and improve the analysis of your game and so on. If someone say F6, you need to immediately spot here. If someone says C4, you need to immediately spot here, right? How to achieve this skill? I will explain the methods to achieve this skill. First, we start with all the pieces on the board. Here, this white knight will goes from G1 to F3. Usually it will go from G1 to F3. Similarly, the black knight will go from G8 to F6. And the other white knight will go from B1 to C3. B1 to C3. And other black knight will go from B8 to C6. Right? F1 to G3, B8 to F6, B1 to C3, B8 to C6. This is the usual 4-knight game. Usually these knights move to these squares. I will show the board with only with the knights by removing all the pieces. These are the locations of the knights. One white knight is in C3 and other white knight is in F3. Black knight is in F6 and other black knight is in C6. First, you should memorize these 4 coordinates or notations. You need to memorize these 4 coordinates or notations. C3, C6, F3, F6. It is easy to remember. These are symmetrical locations somewhere near the center and one square apart diagonally from each corner. Suppose if I draw a arrow like this from this corner, one square apart from the diagonal. Another square I will draw like this, one square apart from diagonally apart, one square diagonally apart from each square. So you can memorize geometrically also. These are the 4 locations. You need to remember these locations first. C3, C6, F3, F6. If someone say F6, you need to immediately spot here. Someone say F6, you need to immediately spot there. If someone says C3, you need to immediately spot here. If someone say F3, you need to immediately spot here. If someone says C6, you need to immediately spot here. You also should remember the color of the square. Suppose F3 is light square. F3 is light square. And F6 is opposite of that, dark square. F6 is dark square. F3 is light square. Similarly, C3 is dark square, opposite of F3. And C6 is light square, opposite of C3. Opposite of C3. uh, no need to remember the color immediately. You will remember eventually with practice. It will take some time. Next step is to move each piece in the board as well as here in your mind. For example, I consider this rook. It is in A1 square. Let's find out all the possible move of the rook. It can go from A1 to B1, right? A1 to C1, A1 to D1, A1 to E1, A1 to F1, A1 to G1, A1 to H1. You find out the moves, all possible moves. A1 to A2, A1 to A3, A1 to A4, like that. A1 to A5, A1 to A6, A1 to A7, A1 to A8. These are the all possible moves of the rook. Please make all possible move like this in the board and say its notation in your mind. That is very important. You should say the notation in your mind when you make a move. I already showed A1 to B1, right? Then you need to say that in your mind. It is very important. Next step is, don't make the move in the board, only move in your mind. This will help you visualization. Only move the rook in your mind and say its notations in your mind. This will help you to improve visualization. Do this exercise every day. Next you take bishop and do the same procedure. It can move from A1 to B2, A1 to B3, C3, A1 to D4, A1 to E5, A1 to F6, right? A1 to G7, A1 to H8. Do it every day. Not only this diagonal, you can do with another diagonal, another position. Do it every day with all the pieces like knight, queen, even king and pawn. Do this exercise every day. You do it in the board and practice it in your mind also. Say the notation in your mind. The next exercise is very important one. Go to chess.com website or app. In the website, click on more and click on vision. You will enter into this tab. Here you can click on start. It will show the notation. You need to spot the location of that notation and click on that location immediately after. It will show next notation. You find the location and click there. Like this you continue for 30 seconds and it will show the number of notations you have done correctly, how much you have done correctly, how much you have done wrongly. Initially it will take time to find the locations, but you start it and eventually you will learn. First I will show start here. So it will show go, it will show h1 you need to spot here, h1, h2 here, a2 here, e2, g2, g8, a5, h8, c4, e1, B2, F2, A2. See, I have corrected 13 notations in 30 seconds. I showed it very slowly because of the making the video, but you can do it faster. Initially you will also find it difficult. You will slowly you will learn that. I will do once more the vision exercise. We can start here. 1 2 3 go. G6 here, C1, E7, B7, D1, F2, B1, A5, G6, C1, A4, B6, B5, H6, C2. So if it shows C3, you need to immediately spot here. If it shows F3, you need to immediately spot here because you remember the location. If it shows F6, you need to immediately spot here. If it shows C6, you need to immediately spot here. That is the first step. And next square you need to learn is E5. This square. Usually the black pawn moves to the E5 square. And you can learn also E4, that is the white pawn move, and D4, D5, right? Similarly, you will learn all these squares. Do the exercise every day. Each day you will learn new square and this color also. I will assure you that. I can assure you that because I did that. So far I have shown the exercise on white's perspective. You can also do this exercise in the black's perspective by flipping the board. I need to make one additional point. When you count the row, you can also do it backwards. For example, if you want to spot E7, this is the E5, and 7th rank is, you can count it from backward. This is the 8th rank and below 7th rank backwards. This is the E7 square. This square is the E7 square. I feel this method is easier, counting backwards, right? Do this exercise every day, you will improve. Definitely you will improve. I can guarantee you that. Another exercise is download the JustWhiz app. JustWhiz app. That go to puzzle visualization, and you can also visualize the move as well as the solve these puzzles. In that method you can improve the notation, visualization as well as your tactics. I hope this will help you to improve your just notations and visualization skill. Thank you all.